Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please?
Like and subscribe.
Is to then begin to kind of turn your attention towards the pain that you're feeling, and then kind of use your breath to breathe into that space, like to imagine that you're breathing into the pain, right? So it's like as you exhale, you're letting go of some of the discomfort. Now, that's a metaphor, but with your attention and your breath focused on that, it can often give you a little reprieve from the pain. And over time, it can let you know, like, okay, I see you, pain. I know you're there, but it can make it less reactionary for you. The theme for practice today was trying to be present when there's a lot of noise, when there's a lot of reasons to be pulled around and about. And I think there's plenty of that. And so the first thing I wanted us to do was kind of anchor into getting prepared for practice and being in a posture of stillness. Right? In a world where all we do is move and fidget, to ask you to bring it in and contain it and have a seat can be a lot. And so I wanted to kind of ground us in that a bit, to feel it, to hear it, to know it, because that is where practice resides. That's the place and space that we do the work. So we started by focusing on the body, the breath, and just being slowly attuned to what was happening in and around us. Then I asked you to kind of take your attention and focus it specifically on your breathing in an effort to help ground your nervous system and get us settled into what we were going to do today. So we focused on the breath, its pace, its speed, how you felt it show up today. And we spent a good amount of time with that before moving into touching into how we felt. And I gave you a variety of examples of things that might be there, but all of us could have had a variety of feelings going on inside. But I wanted you to sit and observe those feelings, because in our daily lives, we interact with those feelings. We take action as a result of those feelings. So to stop, pause, notice, and literally see how they are taking life and root within us was what was the offer there for that part of practice. And then we moved through the body, like we took a scan from head to toe to kind of say, okay, well, if that's all the stuff going on in there, what's happening with the container that holds it all? And I asked you to pay attention by following the midline down through the body and seeing what sensations and stuff showed up as you did. And then I kind of left us in this open space of paying attention to all of it, all of the varieties of things that occur within our own little worlds. And then I closed this out with a reminder of what we were doing here in practice and a focus on sounds before our time together was done. And that, my friends, was 30 minutes. So thank you for your work today. Welcome to the Sit, Walk, Work podcast, a show about paying attention. My name is Dominic and I'm your host, and today is a guided meditation. And what you can expect is that the practice will open up with a brief recap, followed by the actual practice itself. If you find today's episode valuable, please share with your friends and family, and feel free to leave a review wherever you listen to podcasts. The show will begin after the following chimes. But the goal of this practice is to give you an opportunity to slow down, to turn inwards, and to use your attention to learn more, be a little more compassionate, and just give yourself something that is, I think, more valuable to focus on than a lot of what's happening in the external world. And that is what's happening within us, how we're carrying things, how things are showing up. And that is going to be kind of where our practice guides us today. This idea that it's really loud right now in the world, and How do we stay present when it's that much stuff that's going on? How do we hold ourselves and what's true to us? So we're going to explore some of those concepts and those ideas, right? Because we can be left feeling a bit overregulated, like that there's always stimulation, there's always new updates, there's always new information coming in. And the byproduct of that is that it leaves us feeling tired and overreactive, and um, we kind of lose ourselves in it a little bit. And so we have to have a practice like this, a space like this, where we can kind of come to and allow ourselves to be present, to not check out, but to check in, to prevent us from burning out and to renew us to move forward. So that's what I'd like to do today with you. So if you haven't already begun to get yourself in a comfortable position, let me invite you to do that now. And comfortable is a very is a there's a wide variety of what that might mean for you. So you could be seated, you could be lying down, you could kind of be in a reclined chair somewhere. But I just want you to be able to let your body be in a restful position, in a position where you're not moving and you're holding presence for yourself and drawing your attention inwards. And the way we do that is by inviting you to close the eyes. And if it doesn't feel safe for you to close the eyes, know that that's okay. But try to rest your vision on something that isn't going to visually distract you. One way that you can check to make sure you're in a good posture is to take a breath in. And taking that breath in, you can start to feel if you need to make any posture adjustments. If you can breathe well and your hands have a steady place to rest, can I ask you to consider remaining still for the majority of practice? The stiller you are, the more you can pay attention to the subtle changes of your body and your breath. With the posture set and the eyes closed, the journey begins. As you start to notice where and how your breath is showing up for you today. How is it arising? How is it moving? In addition to feeling your breath, feel the way your weight is distributed. If you're lying down, that means to let the surface that's supporting you hold you and feel yourself being held by it. If you're sitting up, you might feel a lot more grounded and supported in the hips and in the legs. Or we're just noticing that the sensations of the body, the breath, hearing the sounds in the room or the space around you. All of it is kind of moving through with its own level of energy. We forget that we don't have to go out and get any of this information. It is given to us. In this opening part of practice, we are setting the guidelines and the boundaries for being a good witness, a neutral witness, an observer too, not a participant in. That is a very thin line. I will ask you to notice when you find yourself anticipating more than observing. When that occurs, turn back to the space of simply watching what's happening. Of the variety of things that are occurring, the stream of thinking that's happening, overlaying the sounds and the way the body feels today, and the breath that is moving through. Can you narrow your focus to just remain with the breath, to feel its original starting point for you, and the way that transfers through your body? Notice the pace of your breathing, also known as the rhythm of your breath. Noticing if the pace or rhythm of your breath is it the same, or are you breathing in a bit longer than you're breathing out? Or are you breathing out a bit longer than you're breathing in? The stiller it becomes for you, the louder it gets for everything you're not focused on. So if your mind is caught up in a story or traveling forward or backwards in time, and you're doing anything other than paying close attention to the breath, know that that's normal. Know that that's a part of the practice. I would argue that that is the practice. That when you notice that you're not focused where you want to be, acknowledge and return your attention back to the area of focus. In this case, your breath. Now that you've had a few minutes of time sitting with and being with your breath, check back in with how your body's overall feeling in this moment. I like to think of this swirl of sensations within us as kind of like our own little microcosm, our own inner climate. And by paying attention to it in this way, you notice the emotional weather inside of you. What are you sitting with today? How are you feeling in this way? This observation doesn't have a right or wrong. Anything could be present, from fear to sadness to anger to fatigue or confusion, numbness, or a whole slew of human emotional experiences. And in actively drawing your attention towards these, I'm asking you to notice them the same way you notice your breath, the qualities that they present, the way they feel in your body, where they show up there. There's power in paying attention and to observing and learning. And the thing about our ever changing field of experiences, one, none, or all of those things can be in constant movement. And by sitting and observing that movement, you learn the patterns that it displays and not being pulled into reaction. You see that the energy of these things can shift and change over time. From the space of the witness, there's room to kind of handle and hold it all. Allow the attention to relax and return back to the breath, back to that anchor. And it isn't as if all the other things you're focused on really disappear, but their level of focus changes as you change your level of attention. It's another subtle reminder that it's important to be aware of what you're paying attention to, because paying attention is the first step in the actions to follow. In this way that I had you look at your inner climate to see what was happening in there, I now want to look at the container that holds us all together, this thing we call our body, to allow ourselves to work our way through the body in the form of a body scan. So imagine that there is a line running from the crown of your head all the way down and through the spine to the base of the spine or the bowl of your pelvis. And we're going to move down this imaginary center line and use it to scan the body as a reference point. So, starting at the crown of the head, allow your attention to rest here, to notice any sensations or any lack of sensation, or whatever may be present in that space of your body. And then slowly let the attention move down the center line from the crown of the head down and to cover the face and the ears, the nose, the mouth, and the jaw. Moving your attention from the crown of the head down to the base of the throat to give yourself an opportunity to scan and notice what you're feeling in the head. Continuing through the body scan, we move now from the head and neck into the center of the chest. From here, we radiate out into the torso, the belly, the shoulders, the arm. Moving from the subtle to the more gross, the denser, the heavier, the easier textures to feel. Where your weight is, where your breath moves, how your heart beats. Each time we move through the scan, we start to include more and more of our container, feeling more and more of that space. If you happen to be lying down, this is an opportunity to feel your edges, where your body is touching against the surface that's supporting you. Allowing your attention to continue to move down that center line, right into the space, the center of the pelvis. Using this as the anchor point, you expand out into the hips, the legs, the feet, the toes, there comes a point in the practice where the edges kind of begin to dissolve a little bit, and you're just feeling sensations. You're feeling the body and the aliveness of it, the physical pain that's present, the pumping of your blood, the temperature of your room, the texture of your clothing, interwoven with the movement of your breath and the movement of sounds and the flow of thoughts. And the more that you can be still and present, the more you can watch it change. Watch it dissolve and then restart and dissolve and restart, and be reminded that all things follow these patterns. That everything you need is here in this moment. That all is required is for you to pay attention to the love and gratitude for the practice unfolding, for your willingness to show up. For each breath that has returned since the beginning of this practice. And then, in spite of all that you've observed in practice today, there's been the space to hold it all. Begin to allow your attention to anchor to the sounds in the room that you're in. With the same attention you've applied to everything you focused on tonight, let sounds kind of take the stage. The most obvious sound is in my voice, but there's probably other kind of ambient noise that's usually there. We just don't often connect to it. Or maybe there's noise outside the window that has its own rhythm coming and going. Or there's just pure silence. As we begin to close out practice today, let the work of showing up be the reminder of your ability to stay present when without being overwhelmed. And that as you continue to show up, you continue to strengthen that ability. As I close out practice, take this time to slowly start to begin to move the hands or maybe blink the eyes open. Bring yourself back online and notice the transition between being in practice to being fully in and alert to all of your surroundings. A lot of what we do here in practice overlays when we're not sitting, when we're not being quiet. What you pay attention to follows you wherever you go.
That's the beauty of it.
Thank you for listening to today's episode. I invite you to check out my Substack, where we are building a community of like-minded individuals to discuss all topics related to the idea of paying attention. I hope to see you there. But until then, with Metta, may you be well.